Welcome back. My name is Timmy Tran. I'm your link to the fire within and to God. Alright, guys. I want to tell you this over and over again until you get it. You know what? As human, we do things over and over again and we get good at it. Same thing with our brain, right? We gotta listen to something over and over again before we get it. Like first time, we ignore it, challenge it, and stuff like that. And we're trying to, we don't want to face, hard work, the truth. The truth is that, is, make us work, right? The truth make us work, make us think, right? A lot of time, we live in a society that so busy that we don't want to think, and we don't want to do the hard work. But we have to. We got a choice. And that's why God give you the power to oversee all these things. The intelligence to make good choice. And you make bad choice, I mean, you're lost. You're not learning anything, right? You're not building, you're not creating, not prospering, you're not multiplying. Same thing with like everything else, right? When humans get comfortable, what happened? They want to destroy it, right? They stop creating. They stop building, right? And they stop multiplying. Now think about this, guy. There's a reason that you're here on this universe. One thing is to multiply, to build, to multiply, right? So if you look into your life, are you multiplying? Are you in your bloodline, right? The best thing for the evil, the devil want you to do is to in your bloodline, because this is their word. They don't want you in it, right? They don't want your next generation in it, right? So there's their word, and you down here to help them, right? At the same time that you live your life and you're confused and you're lost, and that's why they create those confusion or lostness or mad, angry. So you live into that word and you're trapped, right? And they want you to hate God, because the more you hate God, because when you just like if you're a light bulb, right? You need to plug in to get energy from a light source, right? Same thing with God, right? If you have God, you plug in with God, you get more energy, you get more power, right? But they don't want that, right? They want you unplugged. They want you unplugged from God, so that way they can manipulate you. They can, easy to stir you from the darkness instead of to stir you in the light. If you stand in the light, they can't mess with you, right? But if you stand in the darkness, they can, grab you and pull you in a different direction, right? And so what happened to a lot of people in the world today, right? It's really simple things, right? You got power, you can change anything in your life at any time, right? That's your power, that's your choice, right? But because you're looking around the world and everything, all these people making bad choices, stuff like that, so they get getting killed or punished by the human law, because the human, they have to maintain their law, right? They have to maintain their law, because so many people that don't believe in God law, so they think they can do whatever they want to do. But in our world, the galaxy, universe, whatever you want to call it, there's limiting to everything, right? For it to function properly, there have to be a limitation. There have to be a law or the boundary that for you to function in, right? So if you think that you have no boundary or law, then you start going out there, you just destroy yourself. It's because you can't just like say, okay, I'm gonna start light myself on fire, right? You're gonna die. I said, I can just jump in the ocean and swim forever. You're gonna die. There's limitation to everything, and there's a law that is set in play for everything to function properly. The same thing with human, right? We have law for us to function right. But we don't have law. We live like long time ago, like caveman, right? People back then, they used to cannibalism. They used to kill each other and eat each other like animal, right? Because you have no law. You have no, you don't have anything, to live by, right? So you don't have nothing to live by. What happened? you become animal, live like animal, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's the way that been like this in human existence, right? But over time, you know, we got to set things in place if you want to live with other people and, you know, other religion, you know, people believe a different thing, right? But I suggest, you know, Christianity is the best way to go, right? Because it teaches love, kindness, and, you know, create, you know, build and prosper and multiply. But things that over time, what happened? Evils, you know, got into the people's mind, right? Make them angry, make them mad, upset, to blame each other, you know, for what's happening in the world, and they want to control everything. You know, the worst thing, you know, for you is that you look at something and you feel sympathy, and you feel, you know, compassion, and you make you feel bad that why this thing happened, you know, why this bad thing happened to other people, right? And you want to change that, right? And instead of, you know, praying to God, believe in God, you know, resolve this thing, you went angry, mad, upset. What happened? You know, you cause problems for yourself and your family, and in your circle, right? You become destructive because you want something to change. So, you know, instead, you know, so what happened? You were manipulated to start like seeking to change, and you can't change it. You know, you can't change it. So what happened? You start like listening to the people that lie to you, to convince you that they can change it for you, and they just like you, just mess up you all, probably mess worse than you are, and they want your vote, you know, to like make them a leader. And when they make them a leader, they promise all these things, but you know they cannot do it. If you can't do it, how the heck do you expect them to do it, right? But they'll sweet talk to you, they will manipulate you, they'll lie to you, they promise you all these things. I can do this, I can do this. They can't. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle, they cannot do it, right? Because most of them don't follow God, right? You gotta follow God. You follow human law, you're still not fully, you know, using your power properly. So you don't follow God, right? You follow God. You know, you can be a leader, or you can be, you know, like a, you know, influence in a way where affects other men. That's another way. You know, when you follow God, you can change people. You can change people's life, or you follow God, you can change, you know, the leadership. You know, but you got to go up there instead of looking. Most people are up there, they look at the money, right? Easy money, right? Taxing people, easy money, right? So as human, you know, tendency when you see a lot of money, you're gonna be corrupt, right? If you don't have, you know, even the people that believe in God, right? You go into where you have a ton of money, you be corrupt. That's why you see all these pastors or preachers and stuff like that. Most of them are corrupt. Not all of them, but most of them are corrupt. Is because the money aspect, right? To fund them, right? That's what happened, right? And that's you. The same thing with your life. If you have so much money, if you don't follow God, you're gonna be messing up. You know, you don't know what to do with that money, right? So it just expel what of your bad behavior out, right? But because the point is that the world's going crazy. You know, you see all these things like the internet kind of. I mean, these things are been here for 1,000 years. You know, human gonna go crazy. Human wanna not, you know, shall destruct themselves or other people, and they don't follow law, right? And this thing happened for 1,000 years, right? Now we even see it online is that it's faster. You know, we don't see it back then. Only the news can tell us their lies. You know what I'm saying? They all lied to us all these years, but we don't know. I mean, you know, we learn from whoever that we surround or we see on TV, right? So we don't know they're lying to us, right? So because we don't have other information. Now we got the internet, we got more information, you know, and we can you know, like decipher which information is correct or not, you know. But the thing is that you got to follow, you know, a certain law to know what's correct, because there's a lot of, you know, misinformation out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you gotta literally decipher this information yourself. But the one thing that you can be sure that you can change is that you can change yourself, right? You can follow God, Jesus Christ, follow the Ten Commandments, and change your life. That alone will affect your community, your household, and your family, right? That's it, guys. You can't change anything else. You got to change yourself. Have a good day.